I'm Katie Sewell, and this is A Bittersweet Moment with Tiffany Parks.
Hello and welcome to The Bittersweet Life. I'm Tiffany Parks, and this is your midweek Bittersweet Moment. If you've been listening to the Bittersweet Moments that we've been putting out the past year or so, you'll know that I generally talk about things to do in Rome, things to see, off the beaten track places, hidden gems, interesting ways to see the city. And today's mini episode is going to be no different, except that I'm going to be a little bit broader. Instead of talking about one specific place to visit in Rome, my suggestion today is the time of year to visit Rome. Now, there are lots of times to visit Rome, lots of times of year to visit Rome that are amazing in their own particular way. But I had a bit of an epiphany the other night, and I realized that one of the best times to visit Rome is a time that I'd never really thought about before. I'd never really made the connection. And most people don't think to travel this time of year, wherever they might be going. But hear me out, because I have a feeling that I'm going to make a believer out of some of you guys. So here is the time to visit Rome, the first half of December. This is why. There are lots of reasons, but specifically, everybody loves to travel at Christmas time, right? Traveling at Christmas time, very popular. People love to do it. But traveling right over the holidays, anytime between, let's say, the 20th of December to after New Year, is very, very, very busy. Pretty much anywhere you go. And if you come to an Italian destination, that busyness is going to stretch all the way into after Epiphany on January 6th. So you think to yourself, I'd love to travel at Christmas. It's supposedly off season, but it's not really. It's a little spike in the midst of the low winter season. Traveling at Christmas and New Year's is actually very, very high season in Rome particularly. So what you want to do is you want to travel here the first half of December, because you're far enough away from Christmas that you're going to avoid all those Christmas travelers and avoid the price hikes as well. But you're going to get all of the Christmassy atmosphere of Rome anyway, because it starts, as Katie and I have been talking about recently, it starts well back into November. But by December, especially around the time of the Immaculate Conception, the December 8th holiday, Christmas is truly in full swing. And it's special here. I'm going to try to put my finger on it. It's kind of hard, but there is a special atmosphere to Christmas, the Christmas season in Rome. First of all, an interesting thing about it I've finally come to realize is that the fall colors that everybody loves, we don't get them in Rome really until about December. You get some yellow leaves in the earlier part of the fall, but really the true bright oranges and reds you don't see until December. And my husband and I happen to be taking a couple of really long walks this weekend. We had a long weekend, and we love to take long winter walks through the city, just because it's not as crowded in the winter, obviously, and also it's not hot. So it's one of our favorite things to do, either with Aurelio or without him. When we go without him, we do really long walks because he'd probably get too tired. And we did both on Sunday and on Monday this past week, Monday was the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. I was absolutely, completely overwhelmed by the beauty of the trees along the Lungotevere, along the river. Not that I've never been around the Tiber River in early December. Of course, I used to live in the center of Rome, very close to the Tiber for many, many years. But it was sort of, I think the seasons have slightly shifted and it gets colder later than it used to. And I was just absolutely blown away by the colors that I saw. Usually, Italy is not a country that really shows off with its fall colors like other parts of the world. but it really was beautiful. And at the same time, we had the migration of the starlings. The starlings, when I first moved to Rome, were migrating in October. About 10 years ago, they were migrating in November. Now they're migrating in December, as it turns out. So there are these beautiful formations of starlings. If you've never seen a starling migration, it's incredible. It's really, truly beautiful. And as we were walking across the Tiber River, everybody, tourists, locals, everybody was stopped to look at the birds because they were just doing these amazing things. And the air was so crisp. It was just sort of early afternoon. The sun was starting to go down, but there was that beautiful, very fleeting twilight, of course, because it gets dark so quick in the wintertime. You blink your eyes and it's nighttime, but which kind of just makes that twilight time even richer and more enjoyable. When I travel, I know I always think about, okay, I want to go when there's a lot of light. I often think that because I think, well, I want to be out doing touristy things, so I want to see. That makes total sense, of course. But it's also really nice. Certain cities are really beautiful at night. And if you are there at a time of year that it gets dark very, very late, you might not really get to spend a lot of time walking around the city at night, especially if you're traveling with young children and you need to get them back to the hotel and back in bed. So this is another reason to travel in Rome in the wintertime, and particularly in this sort of sweet spot of the first half of December, because you can enjoy the beautiful sunny days. December is, in my experience, always been a pretty sunny month. The weather is quite good in December. It's not warm by any means, but it's not terribly cold either. And it's you get a lot of sunny days. And when you're out in the middle of the day, a lot of times in Rome, especially in the warm weather months, the middle of the day is just a time of day you want to avoid at all costs. It's kind of miserable to be out at that time. But of course, in December, it's wonderful. And you can be out at noon or 1 p.m. and still get those gorgeous shadows that you have to wait until about 5:30 or 6 to see in summer. And then, of course, you get to enjoy all those beautiful hours after dark when the city is all lit up for Christmas. When I first moved to Rome, there was not a lot of Christmas illumination in the city. Maybe on Via del Corso, Via del Babuino, there were the Christmas trees. There's 3 or 4 Christmas trees that they put up around the city. But things have really changed. And walking around, especially the small streets that are huddled around Campo dei Fiori, huddled around the Piazza Navona, areas where there are lots of little boutiques and shops, the shopkeepers pool their money and they create really beautiful decorations. I'm not going to say that they are rivaling cities like London or New York for the kind of spectacles they put out, but it's nevertheless a really big improvement from earlier times. And it's just lovely to wander down the streets after dark. You're never going to be that cold, not really in early December. It's so pleasant. And we just had 2 magical evenings, one after the other, wandering the city, stopping and getting street food. I mean, there's so many amazing little things that you could just, we purposefully did not eat lunch so that we could just wander and sort of snack and graze as we went. And stop in a little wine bar. There's so many little cozy wine bars. When you travel to Italy in high season, you always want to sit outside, of course, which is, again, understandable. You want to sit on the beautiful piazza or the sidewalk and enjoy the warm air. But in the winter, it is equally lovely to hole up in a adorable little wine bar with bottles lining the walls, someplace truly cozy, and order just an amazing glass of wine for what I know in America would be a ridiculously low price. Have some, again, snack foods that have been carefully paired with the wine that you're drinking. It's just, even for someone who's not a huge wine person like myself, it is such a true pleasure. And the other thing that you'll get wandering around Rome in early December is you'll get areas of the city that are almost completely empty of tourists. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say that there are no tourists in Rome in December, because of course there are. Rome has visitors all year long, and some parts of the city are going to be crowded even in the first part of December, in one of the lowest parts of the season. But you will be, Rome is a relatively big city. The historic center is very large compared to other Italian cities. And as you wander, you'll be walking down, let's say, Via del Governo Vecchio, always crowded with tourists. Just no matter what time of year you're walking down that street, there's going to be tons of tourists. But you make a turn and you make another turn, and all of a sudden you're in an area of the city that feels completely deserted. This is doubly true in Trastevere. Trastevere is full of people, locals, tourists, students, but there are some areas where you can just turn a corner and you feel like you're in a little medieval village. There's no one on the streets. The streets are so narrow, so tiny, you couldn't get a car down there if you tried. We actually discovered a church that neither of us even knew existed, a little medieval church, which was so much fun. There's also tons of concerts going on in the wintertime. Lots of these concerts happen in churches and they're free. There are often visiting orchestras and choruses from American schools and universities, and not just American, but from all around the world, but particularly American choruses will go on and orchestras will go on tour, and they'll go to different European cities, and you can go hear their concerts for free in churches, or you can go obviously to see something a little bit more professional at one of the different concert halls. And I think that's a really wonderful, delicious part of the December season in Rome. So I am just here to tell you, I know it's probably too late for this year, but for next year, when you're thinking to yourself, when should I come to Rome? Obviously, ideally, you're going to come in early October with me and Katie, and you're going to come on a Roman adventure. But obviously, not everybody has the same availability when it comes to their schedules. So if October isn't going to work for you to hook up with Katie and myself, consider the first half of December. You will find it absolutely delightful, not nearly as crowded as other times of the year, and truly beautiful. You'll get all that wonderful Christmas atmosphere without the chaos that happens from the 20th onward. I hope you've enjoyed this bittersweet moment, and join us again. Bye.
Thanks for listening, and please become a subscriber to the show. Click that subscribe button on your podcast app. It's that easy. You know what also is easy? Right now, if you have your phone in your hand, pick one friend, just one, maybe two, just one, and send them a message suggesting that they subscribe to the Bittersweet Life too. We need your help to keep our community growing. Find videos and pictures and ongoing discussion questions on Instagram, Facebook. Just search for the Bittersweet Life podcast. And we want to include you in the show. So send your questions and topics and your personal stories to us by email or by clicking contact at thebittersweetlife.net. Talk to you next week. Bye.